In 2021, Brandon Crawford put together one of the best seasons by a Giants shortstop in franchise history. At 34 years young in his 11th Major League season, Crawford finished with a slash line of .298, .373, .522, with 24 homers, 90 RBIs, and 11 steals. On defense, Crawford totaled 15 outs above average, and all of that amounted to an F4 of 6.2. Since that magical 2021 season, there have been 13 players who have spent time at shortstop for the Giants. Brandon Crawford, Tyler Fitzgerald, Thairo Estrada, Marco Luciano, Nick Ahmed, Jason Vossler, Johan Camargo, Dixon Machado, Brett Wisely, Casey Schmidt, Paul DeYoung, and Donovan Walton. So, what do you think was their collective F4 when playing the shortstop position over the last 3 seasons? I'll reveal the answer once Fred Lewis finishes this triple.
Score. Lewis headed for 3. The throw comes home. Kane scores. And Freddie Lewis.
The answer to that question is 7.1. The Giants tried to address that position in recent years, but have never found their answer. They agreed with Carlos Correa on a 13-year, $350 million contract, but never completed the deal due to issues with Correa's physical. Marco Luciano entered last spring training as San Francisco's shortstop of the present and future, but to make a long story short, his future is now in the outfield. Buster Posey entered his first off-season as the Giants' president of baseball operations in search of a shortstop, and in Willy Adames, Posey has found his man. The late 90s and early 2000s were a golden age of shortstops, featuring the likes of Alex Rodriguez, Nomar Garcia-Parra, Derek Jeter, Edgar Renteria, Rafael Furcal, Barry Larkin and Cal Ripken Jr. in their twilight, and Michael Young and Jimmy Rollins in the infancy of their careers. And if that was the golden age of shortstops, then we might be in the platinum age. The list of shortstops in the league currently includes the likes of Bobby Witt Jr., Francisco Lindor, Gunnar Henderson, Trey Turner, Corey Seager, Carlos Correa, Ellie De La Cruz, O'Neal Cruz, Danby Swanson, CJ Abrams, and so on and so forth. And that doesn't even include guys like Marcus Semien and Fernando Tatis Jr., who transitioned to other positions. And right in the middle of that mix is Willy Adames.
A little less time for night games.
Wins above replacement isn't the end-all, be-all for player evaluation, but it does provide a handy reference point. And since 2019, Adames' first season in the majors, Adames ranks 9th among all primary shortstops with an F4 of 20.1. If we reduce the parameters to the last 3 years to account for guys like Witt and Henderson, Adames still ranks 9th at 12.5, sandwiched between Bogarts at 12.6 and Correa at 10.7. There isn't an area of Adames' game that can be described as truly elite. He doesn't have the 100th percentile speed of Witt or De La Cruz, or the raw power of O'Neal Cruz, or the elite defense of Francisco Lindor. Rather, he does a little bit of everything. On the surface, Adames has a slash line of .248, .322, .444, with 150 homers, 472 RBIs, 52 steals, and 15 outs above average. And during his last season with the Brewers, he posted career highs in homers with 32, RBIs with 112, and steals with 21. Now that we have an idea of some of his surface level stats, let's take a deeper look at Adames' impact at the plate, in the field, and on the bases. I don't remember much about the year 2004, but I do remember some bits and pieces. I assume the biggest concern on my mind was playing Jak and Daxter or MVP Baseball 2004 on my PlayStation 2, but that's about it. I bring up the year 2004 because that was, of course, the last time a Giants hitter had 30 homers in a single season, the man to do so being Barry Bonds. This is all to say it's been a long time, more than 2 decades at this point. And of everyone currently on the Giants, Adames is one of several candidates to end this dry spell. Since 2019, Adames' 140 homers are the 4th most among primary shortstops, ahead of names like Trey Turner and Carlos Correa. He's had 2 seasons of at least 30 homers, and last season, Adames had a career-high 32 homers and 112 RBIs. Adames's career WRC plus of 109 doesn't exactly jump off the page compared to other shortstops, but that still makes him an above-average bat for the entirety of his career. Even during his best seasons, Adames has only been middle of the pack when it comes to average exit velocity, the highest mark of his career being 89.5, and his career average being 88.4, which would have ranked roughly in the 34th percentile last season. But what Adames lacks in raw pop, he makes up for in the ability to elevate. This past season, Adames had a career-high average launch angle of 20.6, a mark that ranked 13th among all qualified hitters. Adames also had a career-high in launch angle sweet spot percentage of 38.2%, which put him in the 84th percentile. Adames will strike out in a little over a quarter of his plate appearances, owning a career strikeout rate of 27.2%. He has gradually gotten better in this department, and last season was actually the lowest rate of his career, but it's still ranked in the 28th percentile. On the flip side, he does own a career walk rate of about 10%, which helps offset some of the strikeouts. Looking ahead to 2025, Steamer projects Adames to finish with a slash line of 241, 322, 429, with a team-high 25 homers, 80 RBIs, and an F4 of 3.5. The Giants won 3 championships as a team that prioritized pitching and defense, so it should come as no surprise that Posey and Zach Manesi had wanted to emphasize those departments in their first offseason as the Giants brass. Adames has never won a Gold Glove in his career, but he's been one of the better defenders at the shortstop position over the last couple seasons. His defense rated out a little bit shaky during his first couple years in the league, but in 2022 and 2023 by contrast, Adames was among the league's best defensive shortstops, totaling 17 defensive runs saved and 26 outs above average. That defensive excellence in 2022 and 2023 made last season kind of weird. In 2024, Adames finished with negative 16 defensive runs saved, not only the worst single-season mark of his career, but the worst mark among all shortstops. He graded out more favorably in terms of outs above average, but still, it was a bit of a step back defensively. This doesn't mean Adames is suddenly a bad defender. It's not uncommon for year-to-year aberrations to happen with defensive metrics. Let's look at Matt Chapman, for example. Chapman's case wasn't as extreme as Adames's, but after finishing with 10 defensive runs saved and 17 outs above average in 2021, Chapman was down to 2 defensive runs saved and 1 out above average in 2022. Over the next 2 seasons, he was back to normal, and last season he won his 5th Gold Glove. This isn't to guarantee that Adames will just be a 99th percentile defender again. It's more so to point out that a down year does not necessarily mean a downward trend. That being said, once we start getting to the latter years of Adames's contract, it will be worth monitoring whether he remains a primary shortstop or transitions to second base. And since I'm bringing up Matt Chapman, San Francisco's pitching staff will be plenty happy to see both Adames and Chapman paired up on the left side of the infield. Since 2021, San Francisco's pitching staff has led the league in ground ball rate in each of the last 4 seasons. Logan Webb, of course, is one of baseball's best ground ball pitchers, his rate only being second to Framber Valdez since 2021. And if you look around the diamond, San Francisco has a pretty solid defense in place as is. Chapman is one of the best defensive third basemen in all of baseball, if not the best defensive third baseman. Patrick Bailey already might be the best defensive catcher in baseball. Mike Yastrzemski was a Gold Glove finalist last season, and Jung-Hoo Lee projects to be a solid defender as well, one who already has one of the best arms in the league. Given that the Giants are trying to lure more starting pitching to San Francisco, having those defenders in place is not insignificant. There are several players who have taken the new rules that were implemented prior to the 2023 season and quite literally ran with them. Ronald Acuna Jr. had the first 40-70 season in Major League history, while Shohei Ohtani formed the 50-50 club last season. And in 2024, Willy Adames finally joined in on the fun. Adames wasn't much of a threat to steal over the course of the first 6 years of his career, stealing 30 bases on 48 attempts. That changed during Adames' final season in Milwaukee, where he stole 21 bases on 25 attempts. Unsurprisingly, both of those represent career highs. He joined Robin Yount as the only other shortstop in Brewers history to have a 2020 season, and became the first with a 30-20 season. Stolen bases are an area of San Francisco's game that they desperately need to add to. Since 2023, the Giants ranked dead last in stolen bases at 125. Over the last 2 seasons, they've only had 3 players even attempt more than 10 steals in a single season. Those 3 being Thairo Estrada, who's no longer with the team, Matt Chapman, and Tyler Fitzgerald. The hope in San Francisco then is that guys like Adames, Chapman, Fitzgerald, and Lee can provide the offense with a dimension on the base paths that they just simply haven't had in recent years. The reality of the Willy Adames signing is that it doesn't instantly elevate the Giants to contention status, especially in a division as stacked as the NL West. So, what's next for San Francisco? The natural next step for Posey and Manassian is to address the starting rotation. As things stand, the Giants can put together a rotation of Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Jordan Hicks, Kyle Harrison, and Hayden Birdsong, with Landon Rupp, Mason Black, Carson Weisenhunt, and Tristan Beck, and Keaton Wynn in the mix as options as well. That rotation certainly has potential, but once you get past Webb, there's a lot of uncertainty with the rest of the projected starters. How does a 34-year-old Robbie Ray handle his first full season since undergoing Tommy John surgery in 2023? Can Jordan Hicks remain in the rotation for a full season after dealing with fatigue? How do Kyle Harrison and Hayden Birdsong handle their sophomore seasons? The easiest way to enter next season with more certainty in the rotation, then, is to add a starter through free agency, the most lucrative option being former Cy Young Award winner Corbin Burnes. Burnes makes a lot of sense for San Francisco. The Giants have a bit of a hometown advantage, being that Burnes is from Bakersfield and went to St. Mary's College in Moraga. He's been one of baseball's best starters since 2020, owning a 2.88 ERA over the last 5 seasons. And he's done so at a pretty high volume too, his 590 innings over the last 3 seasons, ranking only behind Aaron Nola and, wouldn't you know it, Logan Webb. And the Giants could certainly benefit from having someone who provides that type of volume. Despite Logan Webb leading the National League in innings last year, San Francisco starters pitched the fewest innings in the National League last year and the second fewest in all of baseball. Another advantage of signing Adames is that he was a former teammate of Burnes in Milwaukee. And at his introductory press conference, he said that he would be sure to reach out to Burnes.
I haven't talked to him, but I would definitely give him a call, after today. I mean, obviously, you always want a guy like him, and you're always going to have guys that are going to compete out there for you, and having a guy like that, it will be such an, amazing addition, but, that's something that is not in my hands, and, obviously there's a lot of work to do for that, but I will give him a call definitely later.
Adames would probably lose the franchise record that he currently has for largest contract if Burnes were to sign with the Giants, but my feeling is that he wouldn't mind all that much. And if the Giants aren't able to sign Burnes, they could pivot to someone who won't make $250 million this offseason. A list of guys that includes Jack Flaherty, Sean Manaea, even former Dodger Walker Buehler, and there's also the matter of Roki Sasaki. The Giants are a better team now than they were before the start of the winter meetings, but signing Adames should only represent a start, not an end. How much better can they get between now and the start of the season? Time will tell.